But don't be ashamed if you get confused when you talk to your friends or you watch the news. They try to tell you where it all went wrong. Now you don't need to argue, just sing this song. It was rich people stacking the deck, rich people with big fat checks, rich people, they're having a ball, rich people been us all.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Eat the Rich. I am Emily Walsh, and I am here with my husband and co-host Danny Motz. He was weird when I started, so now I'm worried I screwed up something.
Sorry about that. Well, I just the camera wasn't on you when you started talking.
It never is.
I know,
because it's a man robot.
It is a man robot, and I was just thinking about that initial edit, setting up the. This is some real inside baseball.
Yes,
nonsense.
the 70 people on YouTube that are watching.
They really care about quality.
I know. Thank you for everyone. Tell a friend. I'm not ashamed.
Yeah,
I love it. I
Yeah.
think it's totally worth this level of work.
sure.
I mean, considering in 5 episodes we've gone from 20 to 78.
Hey,
That's good
there we go.
turnover.
Yeah, and we made Tasty sad, and they're all the right ways.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
learned about
Well, she could have done that audio. I don't think she's watching.
No,
Tasty,
I'm
let us know if you're watching.
yeah,
Let us know if you're a person who knows us and
Yeah.
you're watching, because I
actually,
would be
that'd
curious.
be very
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
You want to hear the sweetest thing on God's green earth?
Sure.
So Katie couldn't fall asleep last weekend. I'm coming in hot from a bachelorette party
Sure.
where Never Gonna Die was real strong. And
2 nights in a row. It's
2
hard
nights
to.
in a row past 2:30 a.m.
Yeah, it's hard to pull. I'm never gonna die 2 nights in a row.
2 nights in a row. But so we were in Pennsylvania on our way, and Katie could not fall asleep. And sometimes she falls asleep to our podcast.
Oh,
But she was sharing a room with Michelle. And I guess at one point, Michelle woke up and you were just talking away about righteous indignation. And she was like, "Can you please turn Danny off?"
that's very sweet.
It's very
It's
sweet and
very
very
sweet.
funny. And
Yeah.
I like all of it.
Yeah, and Lenore, whenever Buckley won't eat, will put on our podcast.
We're happy
Yeah.
for these listens.
Got to get them listens.
We're happy for these listens.
Let us know if anybody else is using us to fall asleep.
Yeah, let us
Yeah.
know what your listening circumstance is.
Yeah.
Tell us what you're up to.
You know, another thing about it, because we're often so tired, it may kind of be,
Snoozy-
yeah,
snoozy
yeah. Like
boozy.
there's indignation, but it's like tired, smoldering indignation. That's my whole thing.
So I forgot this episode is late,
Yeah.
and I was like, "But we're doing so good. It's light out,
Yeah.
just
Just light
late." But
Yeah.
babies and beverages, where you at?
Beverages, dose coffees, one baby.
That's not a beverage.
No.
And a beer.
Yeah. This will be my second beer, actually.
Wow.
I know.
Whew.
I know. It's been one of those days.
I
But
hear you.
the baby is cute, but feisty.
Feisty.
Yeah, she's really thinking about learning how to walk. She
She
loves.
is walking, just not.
Yeah, she's
solo
walking. She's not
beautifully
solo.
all by herself.
Yeah, but one hand, strolling
She's
in
a
the park.
one-hander.
Whew, incredible. And it's very cute. I had a solo weekend with Frankster this weekend, and we got up into some hijinks.
Yes, not a lot of sleep.
Not a lot of sleep, a lot of
Just
hijinks.
Yeah.
Which was fun. And then, now this week, the going down has been a fight for sure. She's bare knuckle boxing me in them streets.
Yeah. Last night she said, "I just won't."
Yeah.
But
yeah.
tonight, so far.
I'd knock on wood, but it might be too loud and it may wake her up. So just softly tap on some wood.
So far, girl's asleep.
That's right.
I had 1.5 coffee. I did a mistake where we had to go. It was time to go for morning walk, and when it's time to go for morning walk, you kind of just
gotta go.
You gotta go. And so I left my coffee in the fridge, thinking I was gonna get an out in the world coffee, and then I didn't.
And so now
And
there's
then
half a
I
fridge coffee
got
in
home and I felt like garbage.
there. Sure.
And then I drank some home coffee. So I had like 1.5 coffees, no beers, and
giant water coming.
Giant water.
Coming right down
Working
the pipe.
on a giant water.
Yeah.
Because maybe I'm dying,
Yeah.
but also maybe not. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm
It
just
could
tired.
just be still backlash from bachelorette party.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Because I was never going to die, and now
Yeah. You've got to pay the piper.
my body was like, "You're 40. It's really fun that you're fun, but you do have to pay the bill."
Yeah.
So
So here we are.
here we are. My skin still looks great. So
Yeah, it does. Really does.
that's all
Incredible.
that matters.
This week is my
go.
week.
This is
my
your
week,
week.
baby.
No
Back.
more Irish famine.
I actually have no idea whether anyone in this story is Irish. I should maybe know, but I don't.
No.
There aren't any potatoes. Well, kind of. There's French fries, but they don't really. They're not important to the story. So.
Well, then,
Yeah.
who cares?
Who cares? So this week we're starting to talk about the McDonald's hot coffee case.
The hot coffee case. The reason all your cups say caution.
Caution.
The hot coffee you ordered are hot.
Yeah, they're hot
Yeah.
coffee.
No, I'm excited because I know that the things I know aren't factual.
Sure. Actually, that I feel like is a good place to start. What do you think you know about her name is Stella Liebeck, by the way.
Wonderful.
She was 79 when it happened.
I know that she was older than. I didn't know she was 79. I knew she was older than like 60. I knew she was older. I know that it was like severe burns because something was like wrong with the machine, so it was like very hot, and that there were severe burns. But I also know that in pop culture we were making fun of this person like they were just rude and stupid and didn't know coffee was hot and trying to get money.
To get money. Like some people think that she poured the coffee on herself in order to sue McDonald's.
It sounds like, I mean, I don't know, but it sounds like maybe she did not do that.
She did not do that. No.
But also
she did spill it on herself, but it was an accident.
She's not 79 and it was really hot.
That's right. And like 1980s Ford Pintos or whatever car it was, which we'll get into, did not have cup holders. Like there was a period in the 80s when cars started having cup holders. And this one did not have one. Isn't it crazy? Well, and fast food culture is the thing that brought cup holders to cars.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. But I think it's kind of like when older people are always like, why do you have to carry water everywhere? Like I think they drink coffee in the morning and whiskey at night and nothing throughout the entire day.
Yeah.
It seems. Because it's the idea. Also driving up until
like
the 80s.
Such a big city country song. Coffee in the morning, whiskey at night.
Coffee in the morning, whiskey at night. I love my baby and I hold him tight. What was I going to say about McDonald's coffee?
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I've just had another. I feel like this is true, but I'm not sure that this like kicked off a phenomenon of suing. But that is also just now how our country like makes laws. Yeah.
So all of that stuff.
Full disclosure, I did listen to an episode of the podcast You're Wrong About this incident.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a few years. I definitely forget a lot of stuff, but I think I probably know more than the average bear.
Sure.
Because of that.
You do a lot of the things, one, are very in tune with like things that people think generally.
Yeah.
Some of them are much more extreme. You know, there was... And we'll talk more about it at the end of this episode because I really hate this guy. There's a humorist that created an award for like most frivolous lawsuit in America, and there was like a weekly newsletter that he made money on, and he called it the Stella Liebeck Awards. About this woman, which is like I hope he got sued because he deserves to be super sued.
How?
And it wasn't a frivolous lawsuit, as we'll get into. So.
How sad am I going to be on a scale of 1 to 10 if 1 is this woman heals completely, gets a beautiful pile of money, gets to send 20 people to college, and dies of old age in her bed, and 10 is 1.2 million dead Irish people?
Well, that skews us pretty hard.
Yeah, no.
I think it's 4 to 5.
Okay.
I think it's Stella does.
I made the 10 pretty high.
Yeah, 10 was pretty high. That was tough. I would have probably gone around 5-ish to 6, but if it wasn't quite that skewed.
Sure.
But Stella does okay with the, she ends up winning her lawsuit. It doesn't go as well as like the world thinks it does because
that's the other thing is the world thought she became like a millionaire.
Yeah, I thought that she made like millions of dollars off this, and pretty immediately she did not, and we'll kind of get into that. But I guess let's talk about sources real quick. There's a documentary it started on HBO, but I watched it on YouTube. Because it's not on Netflix anymore. It used to be on Netflix. It's called Hot Coffee, directed by Susan Saladoff in 2011. The focus of this doc is a lot more about the like changing landscape of civil law in the United States, which is a lot of what we're going to talk about in this episode too, and next episode. But Stella Liebeck is one of the like primary examples of like how lawmakers kind of hijack public opinion and like morph stories in order to get.
Are there
laws
lobbyists involved in
passed.
this?
Yes, a lot of lobbyists.
Okay.
Yes, and like this is like
I remember in high school, I didn't really know what a lobbyist was. And I was like, oh, I combined my knowledge from high school with like maybe an episode of West Wing, maybe something. And I decided that lobbyists were the people, they were called that because they had to hang out in the lobby to grab people on their way in.
Oh, sure.
To be like, hey,
yeah,
trying to
that might
pass
be
this
how it
law.
happens,
Hey,
you know?
I think it's because you lobby for your
Yeah,
argument,
I also
but
think that Schoolhouse Rock, like
I'm Just a
telling you
Bill?
about I'm Just a Bill, they do have lobbyists in it, and they're like standing in the lobby, and they're like, hey, you want to
that's
talk about
definitely why I think that.
yeah. But yeah, so it goes into a lot of other stuff, and some of the stuff we'll get into. This episode, I'm specifically going to talk about the hot coffee case and Stella Liebeck and kind of the aftermath of all of that.
Okay.
But then we'll talk about how like this. You mentioned how like this case kind of set off a kind of rash of lawsuits, and really as we'll find, the like concept of frivolous lawsuits in general is very overblown. Statistics are like skewed, and a lot of things are happening where like there's one thing, Reagan is involved in a big way, George Bush Jr. and Sr. are involved in a big way, and they use statistics to be like the number of lawsuits in America is ballooning, but that statistic that they use includes like this massive amount of asbestos lawsuits.
I was gonna say, is it like wheelchairs, ramps and shit?
It's
like,
all.
not...
It's like we learned about asbestos and started litigating it in the 80s, and it created these.
Turns out took cases to
a
litigate
lot of
it.
cases, and there were a lot of like class action lawsuits. So it's just this big number, and they were like, "Look, lawsuits are spiking, and they're all frivolous." And it's like, these are just regular lawsuits.
Yeah, it
just
feels
happened.
like that whole like false reporting narrative where
Yeah.
it's like it's less than 1% or whatever.
Right.
Like I have no idea what it is, but it's not all.
That's exactly. And the other thing is like most frivolous lawsuits, you know what happens to them? They get thrown out.
I was gonna say they're not winning these enormous piles of money crazily.
There's so many barriers of entry to get you from like I'm gonna sue someone to actually
Which
getting
I also
into a law, like the
again
court of law.
didn't know. I mean, this happened in the 90s.
The 90s is right.
Because I remember
Yeah.
it vaguely.
There's another one we'll talk about. The kind of precursor to this one, the one that everyone kind of pointed to before, is a psychic that lost their psychic powers
Oh well,
because
that
of a
person's-
CAT scan.
Should have seen that coming.
Well, yeah, but we'll get into why. Because
When did you get it? 'Cause-
because that's actually a lot of the jokes were that. Yeah.
Yeah, I could I could host a late night television show in the 80s.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I couldn't because I'm a woman and they still don't let us do that.
Right.
But I could have like comedically handled it.
100%.
Alone.
And like comedians and late night hosts play a huge part in the like overblowing of this whole thing. They take it,
Which
and
is so sad because it's like a 25-year-old joke writer
Yeah.
who's like, I don't know,
well,
this.
and the zeitgeist, like the mass media was pushing this idea of this woman getting millions from McDonald's because she spilled hot coffee on herself. And then it's such an easy little nugget to take
Of
and then
course.
turn it into a joke. But if you look at it,
The
you're
facts.
like, oh, okay, this is not great.
Yeah, no.
This is bad. So, and we'll get into that. But the bigger picture that we're kind of talking about around all of this is about a thing called tort law. Do you know anything about tort laws?
Only that they're annoying at every TV show where somebody goes to law school. You have to memorize a lot of them.
Yeah, because
But
there's a
I
lot of
really
different types
don't.
of torts. We'll get into torts some this episode, but more. We're
know
really going to
about
talk about
torts.
tort and tort reform a lot in the next episode. I think this is going to be a two-parter. Don't hold me to it.
4 to 8.
But tort law is basically things where like one party has harmed another party, and it doesn't kind of rise to the occasion of criminal law.
Okay.
It's like
Judge Judy type stuff.
Judge Judy type stuff, but also like industrial liability law. So like the
that's
things
more-
where like a lot of the cases, the things that we've talked about already, really are types of torts. So like the Radium Girls thing, the DuPont stuff, like the Henrietta Lacks lawsuits, those are all tort laws because they have to do with the fact that like our laws don't cover this, and you need to go to civil court to like get compensation for those things.
Got it.
So you know, and the kind of the bigger picture of all of this is that because the way our government is structured, and you know that we keep pushing this kind of idea of laissez-faire government and capitalism and all this stuff, like we can't put regulations in place because lobbyists and big corporations in our whole business and stopping all of that from happening. We can't do inspections, so we can't like have agencies that come in and make sure that you're following the meager laws that exist.
Right.
So the only thing that we really have left is doing it in civil court.
Right.
But because before Reagan, tort law really favored the litigant, the person suing, so the plaintiff, and not really the big corporations or the other people.
But then Reagan said, "Let me
But Reagan was
trickle
like,
that
I'm gonna get in there," and they worked like created this big public media campaign to kind of teach people that they were that there were way too many frivolous lawsuits, and all of those frivolous lawsuits were costing them money.
Well, also we've like the idea that the corporation has to put the cost somewhere.
Corporation has to put it somewhere, and it's obviously going to put it on you, even though a lot of the things that they're getting sued for is stuff that they did wrong.
That's interesting because I there's definitely like a stigma. Especially if you were born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s, against lawyers in general. Best joke ever to be like, ugh, lawyers, am I right? But I also have a deeply ingrained like morality about not suing anybody. Like it's in my brain. And like when I broke my elbow at work, there's like workers' comp, and then there's a lawyer in the same office that's like, hey, on your way out, literally on your way out, do you want to sue them too? And I was like, I'm good. And he brought me in his office and explained all the different reasons and ways we could sue. And I was like, I appreciate that this is not a wrongful injury. It was an accident. I just need my like bills paid. And I do still believe that. I don't think I should have sued them, but it was I was so opposed to it that I was like, I had to kind of get home and think about it and be like, was I on a faulty piece of equipment? Like, did they ask me to do something like weird? But then he also explained to me that like, because of the way law works, we were at a TV show in a building, and the building would be who I was suing. And I was like, I'm not going to sue Signer Studios because I slipped on a box. Right. But maybe I should have.
Yeah. But also that cardboard should have been taped down.
It should have. But who's
a number of other who's liable there?
Who do I sue?
Yeah. And I think that's the kind of like bigger picture about all of this stuff. This like idea that frivolous lawsuits are there's so many of them out there in the world.
We're just
is that
taught
most people, exactly. Most people are not litigious in the way that like I think the media says that we are.
It also sounds like so much paperwork.
It's a lot of paperwork.
So
and it's
much
really
like
hard.
going to places and requesting things. Like it's like going to the DMV every day for 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Just think of the like DuPont thing where they just dumped, 1 million documents on top of this, man.
Figure it out.
And it took like a decade to do. And it's very expensive and it's very hard. And in a lot of cases, if you're in a town that is like more pro, say McDonald's, you are going to get ostracized because of it. So it's like all of the things that the like, there's so many more barriers to entry to like winning one of these cases. And then also, Stella Liebeck was awarded $2.7 million.
Okay.
But she did not get $2.7 million. The
Can
judge.
I guess? Because I weirdly think I know how much she got.
Okay.
$63,000?
No, she actually did a little better than that.
Okay.
So
I wonder where that number, because that was like burned in there.
No, so she got $160,000 for compensatory damage, which is the damage to pay for medical bills and legal fees. So compensatory, and again we'll talk more about it later. But the jury specifically like did the calculations and determined that she deserved $200,000 in compensatory. But they said that she was responsible for 20% of the injury because she spilled it on herself. So they reduced the compensatory damage based on that to 160 based on that.
Dropped it.
And then they awarded her.
The cups are too slippery. Sue them again.
They awarded her $2.7 million in punitive damages because McDonald's like showed a real callousness and like they were just like, yeah, I mean, hot stuff is hot.
It's hot,
what are
right?
you gonna do? And like there's a what do you call it? Not dissertation, deposition with this guy that's like a quality manager / safety manager, and he was like, yeah, I guess I'm just glad that more burns haven't happened. 700's not so bad. And it was like the jury was like, nope.
Wow.
And the 2.7 million was calculated as 2 days of coffee revenues for McDonald's. Because they sell 1 billion cups of coffee a year.
Wow.
So 2.7 million is just how much they probably not how much they profit. It's probably the revenue, not the profit. But even still, it feels like a pretty compared to the mass that is McDonald's.
Wow.
But news headlines, lost their mind because they were like, "Oh, this woman basically got $2.9 million for spilling a cup of coffee on herself."
Let's all spill. Let's all get hit by a bus.
But she did get,
that's the...
third-degree burns and then was like permanently disfigured and had a hard time walking for the rest of her life.
Yeah, no, it sounds like they should give her money.
Yeah, they should give her money. The judge the jury awarded her 2.7. The judge immediately shrunk it down to 490 something thousand or 485.
The judge can do that?
I guess, yeah.
That's malarkey.
It is malarkey, yeah.
Give
and
that
then
old lady.
after all of this, one of the big laws that they pushed through, and I don't think they were able to do it federally. They might have done it now. I have to kind of read more about that. But one of the big things they want to do is caps on damages, like make a high cap for damages for mostly punitive and like pain and suffering, but also really they want to cap on all damages.
Yeah, of course.
And they weren't able to do that under Clinton. And then they basically went to all of the states and created these like state laws that do.
Well, it's also like it's like what I knew then, even what I knew 10 years ago, what I know now. It's like judges are elected, so that's a conservative judge that was supported by somebody who wanted to stop suing corporations.
Part of all of this, part of the move, because the judicial branch initially was thought to be nonpartisan as an idea. Like the whole idea was that it was not a thing that was meant to be.
Supposed to be justice enthusiasts.
It's supposed to be people that just love the law and the Constitution. But around in the 80s with Reagan and with Bush and all of, Bush Sr., Bush Jr., they really were like, oh, it's cheap to buy judges in rural America and around the state, like the lower court judges, and then they just stacked them.
They'll commit fraud for a free Big Mac a month.
Exactly. Which also that's free Big Mac a month made me think of the. Do you remember the Seinfeld episode where Kramer spilled hot coffee on himself?
Yes.
By sticking a whole cup of coffee down his pants.
They were gonna get money too, and then he admitted, that was something else.
Yeah,
he had that lawyer friend.
Yeah, he had Jesse, whatever his name is, lawyer, and then he was like, "You're gonna make a lot of money," and then in court, the Hot Coffee Joe Incorporation or whatever it was like, first we'll give you free coffee for the rest of your life, and it was like sold. And that's what happened there. But it just like goes to kind of speak to how quickly this lady's story kind of got inserted.
Also, Kramer sued more than one company.
Yeah, sued a lot of companies. Yes,
that is definitely indicative of like where the culture was at.
And all of it is just kind of like insulting to this woman who,
who's just a sweet old lady.
Just a sweet old lady, and she just wanted to put milk and sugar in her coffee. Is all she wanted to do.
Like we all do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why. So, okay, I did some other sources. We're gonna just get right into it. I'm just gonna read these sources out quick because book report and all. I watched another small documentary called "The Misunderstanding of McDonald's Hot Coffee Lawsuit" on the Retro Report with PBS.
Wow,
it's pretty quick and pithy little thing. Also on the YouTube. And then I read
the YouTube.
I read a book
1,000 years old
called "Distorting the Law: Politics, Media, and the Litigation Crisis."
Did you choose it because of the pun?
I did not. I chose it because I was like, I need a book about this hot coffee case, and there aren't many. There's one that is a like leaflet to corporations on how to not get sued for having hot coffee. I was like,
look at this sweet old lady.
I am not spending money
on
that.
From getting any money.
Here's
some tips.
It's a pretty good book. It is really mostly focused on how the importance of tort law, how tort law changed and was kind of morphed, and how they used public opinion to basically rob us of our ability to hold big corporations account.
Use the justice system the way it was intended.
Justice system, yeah.
Cool.
Because as we said, all of the other avenues to justice are already gone. So the only thing left is suing. So they that book is the two big examples that they use. Is the McDonald's hot coffee case, and then also the tobacco cases as well. Which, like at the beginning of this podcast, I was like, I don't need to do tobacco. Everyone knows tobacco is evil. But the way that they're evil is interesting and is used, like the things that the ways that they sued and the ways, because the tobacco industry funded a lot of this, like changing our public opinion on suing companies.
Yes.
And all through these, like, this is kind of the beginning of those little like shadow grassroots groups and like groups that
You mean the AstroTurf groups, like the fake ones?
Yeah. What did I say?
You said shadow grassroots.
Grassroots, right? I meant AstroTurf.
Yeah,
Shadow
AstroTurf.
Yeah, but those like kind of groups of people writing laws that work in different states, and then just we're kind of roving from state to state to create like citizens groups against frivolous
but they're really
lawsuits.
Created
but really
by a what's it called? Not a focus group, but a study.
Yeah.
You get it.
A bunch of jerkus McGurkuses.
Yeah, that are a company that write laws, and then the people just submit them for them. Think tank.
So the book is good. It's pretty dry. There's some humor involved because they talk about like all of the tort cases that are kind of blasted through media. So there's a bunch of like Ronald Reagan quotes that just where he's talking about like a guy that got hit by a car while he was in a telephone booth, and the guy sued the telephone company and was like, "Can you believe this guy? I could understand if he sued the driver, but he sued the telephone company." But that telephone booth had been hit like 10 times.
Oh, God.
And so it was in like a dangerous intersection that maybe it should have been moved 10 feet over.
Definitely should have been moved, yeah.
And then also because it had been hit so many times, it was damaged so the latch on the door couldn't open. So he was trapped inside, and he probably would have gotten out, but he lost his leg. So like... there's so many of these little like tort stories where they simplify it to the point of absurdity, and then they're like, common sense says that's a bad idea, and it's like,
you don't know the circumstance.
Look at the receipts. Who's standing to benefit from this?
What happens when you get stuck in a phone booth? My problem with people that are against like being mad at corporations or whatever, I'm like, it's not your money.
Yeah,
it's not your money.
Yeah,
it's their money.
And actually, it kind of is your money.
Yeah.
Because they've been taking it from us for years.
Yeah, and they're keeping it.
Yeah.
And we want some of it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, and that one of the in the documentaries, they were like, nobody knows about tort law or civil law until they need it. And then they get in there and they're like, why isn't this easier?
Why is this so
hard?
Why
I just want people to pay for my medical bills because
that's the thing is most of them are just trying to survive.
Because Stella Liebeck and her family literally for like 6 months they just kept sending letters back and forth to McDonald's because the medical bills were going up and up. She required like skin grafts and was like in and out of the hospital for 2 years.
Oh my god!
To try to like
repair her old legs.
So they were just like, hey, can you pay for our medical bills?
That's all.
And so they were asking for maybe $10,000 to $20,000.
Yeah, and it turned.
McDonald's offered $800. And so then after all of that, they were like, I think we're going to sue you.
We're going to sue you.
We're going to sue you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We are going to sue you.
We're going to take you to court.
Yeah. So, okay, we talked some about tort law. Okay, so there are a couple of different types of torts. There's intentional torts, where someone purposefully does harm. And I feel like most of the time this sort of thing happens in conjunction with a criminal case. So like assault and battery can be a criminal case followed up by a civil case, defamation, trespassing, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
There's negligent torts that happen by accident, carelessness or
not moving
mistakes
the phone booth.
And not moving a phone booth while not using like
malice or
the legally
or
mandated
weapons.
Level of care. So like,
okay.
Car crashes that are like accidental car crashes, like, things that don't make it to like criminal neglect.
Yeah.
or
Truly
manslaughter.
An accident,
or
but they
like
probably shouldn't have been.
Fender benders and that kind of thing. That's tort law with negligent torts. Slip and fall cases, where like say somebody mopped the floor and didn't put the sign out and somebody fell and hurt themselves. That's a negligent tort. Some medical malpractice cases mostly fall under this category, and then like strict liability torts. So these are the ones where like they're legally responsible regardless of intent. So whether
it's
or not
a big enough deal.
Yeah, if like a big corporation that makes like a faulty piece of machinery that breaks and hurts people, then they're legally liable, whether or not they intended it, whether or not they did
Yeah.
it maliciously. The maliciousness maybe will get them more punitive damages, but like,
even if it's a
you know,
mistake.
like class action lawsuits, all of that kind of stuff, it oftentimes falls under this like strict liability lawsuit. So, yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the Stella Liebeck story fully. So some headlines of the day. Woman burned by hot McDonald's coffee gets $2.9 million.
No, she doesn't.
No, she doesn't. From the San Diego Tribune. When Stella Liebeck fumbled her coffee cup, she might as well have bought a winning lottery ticket. This absurd judgment is stunning illustration of what is wrong with American civil justice system.
Yeah.
Also, like, Jay Leno was just, he loved this story. He brought it up as a kind of recurring thing, as it's saying basically like, you know, there were a bunch of jokes about her like spilling coffee and then suing and then making money. And then he kept being like, and she's back today for looking at herself in the mirror and not liking what she saw or something. Like he's just like keeps, you know, being like, Stella's back in the news. And it's like, leave Stella alone.
Leave her alone.
Leave her
Pick
alone,
Pick a
please.
new target.
As well as like a lot of other, even like Steve Martin. I'm like, Steve Martin, leave her alone, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, most people believe that Stella was actively driving her car, drinking coffee, and it spilled.
Right, being reckless
or
in some
like
way.
being reckless, and it was between her legs when she spilled, or that she purposefully kind of spilled it on herself. So this is what really happened. February 27th, 1992, so it was the 90s. Stella Liebeck, 79, purchased a cup of coffee at the drive-in window with a value meal in Albuquerque, the Albuquerque McDonald's.
Okay.
She was not driving at the time of the accident. It was her grandson, Christopher, driving the car. And after they received their food and coffee, they pulled into a parking spot to like
so couldn't be more
do
safe
the things.
as
right.
possible.
Exactly.
Like, let's get organized.
weren't
Maybe we'll
moving.
drive
They
in
were
a
like,
second,
we're going to
but-
organize the food. He's going to get his, you know,
Couple of bites.
Egg McMuffin out and get a
Yeah.
couple of bites in. So Stella always drank her coffee with a little cream and sugar, and so she was, you know, working on putting her cream and sugar in. And I already mentioned, so Christopher owned a 1989 Ford Probe, and there were no cup holders standard in that car at the time. So Stella chose to hold the cup of coffee between her legs while she took the lid off so she could grab
Very
it.
normal thing.
And during that process, the coffee just tipped over and spilled fully into her lap, soaking into her clothes and the seat below. According to her daughter, Stella was a very active woman before the accident. You know, she was able to drive and drive well. She'd been working full time until about a week before the accident, and she was
a week before,
and she
just got her freedom.
She just got her freedom from all that wage slavery, just to be permanently disfigured by a massive corporation that was unwilling to pay her money.
Stella.
You got it. So sad, you know. Yeah,
I'm mad.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
sad.
yeah,
and mad.
Makes sense.
And a little itchy.
So and a little itchy. So at the time, McDonald's standard temperature for the coffee after brewing was held at 180 to 190 degrees Fahrenheit.
That feels
Pretty hot.
I'm
Pretty hot.
going to say it just before we even get any further. I don't drink hot beverages.
No,
I don't do it.
no, and it seems like we're preventing a lot of burns.
I'm very safe. If I do get burned, I can pull the ice out of my coffee and put it on my hand.
Exactly.
No, I just don't like them. And
Yeah,
even
I
if
don't
I
either.
drink hot coffee, I don't drink it till it is medium temp. Like
Sure.
I don't like hot beverages.
Yeah.
So this sounds even
I
worse. to
will
me.
occasionally betray the family in the wintertime when
It's
I'm cold.
fine. It's not,
And
it's not a big deal.
but I'm mostly winter and
Frankie
summer
will decide
drinking cold coffee. Yeah, she's the
for the
tiebreaker.
family. She's the tiebreaker.
We're already leaning very far cold coffee.
So far, she's not a huge fan of hot things.
No.
And she tries to drink my iced coffee. So
Okay, there we go. I do not think we should give her coffee.
I don't give it to her.
Okay.
She takes it.
So this 180 to 190 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's the holding temperature. So it's brewed at a little higher at like 200 something. And then it sits in those like hot tanks.
Giant tanks.
That they,
Them
pour
hot
the coffee out
tanks.
of. And that holds it at 180 to 190 degrees.
Unless you're in Albuquerque, where the humidity, or it's a dry heat, but
It's a dry
it does
heat.
crank
Yeah.
it up to
Yeah, which is why you pour some coffee on yourself,
cool down.
cool you down a little.
In like 10 more years, that'll be true.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's a real downer.
Maybe we'll talk about global warming one day.
Nope. Don't have it in me. You guys know it's bad.
Yeah, I could read Al Gore's book and then talk about it.
I don't want to do that.
Weep,
you can talk to somebody else.
Yeah, fair.
I don't. There's nothing I can do.
There's no happiness. There's no joy for us there.
There's no joy for us there.
Yeah. So this is directly from the company handbook. So it's company policy to keep the hot coffee at that temperature.
Okay.
It's not an aberration that is just happening at the Albuquerque, store. And it's about 30 degrees warmer than home brewing machine. So home brewing, it's like 150 to 100.
Which isn't a ton, but it's also not nothing. 30 degrees.
Yeah. Well, and the speed at which you get burnt, like third degree burns, is exponential as the coffee gets hotter. So it takes 15 seconds to get third degree burns with 180 to 190 degrees.
Also, she's almost 80 degrees. So even if you were a young person, a very mobile person, even if you had the best reflexes on the planet, you'd basically have to get out of the car.
You'd have to leap out of the car and
take
pull
your
your
pants off.
Yeah. And she was wearing sweatpants at the time, so it really soaked up the coffee.
God, Stella.
You
were supposed to be retired. You're wearing your sweatpants. You're getting your value meal.
Yeah, she was wearing her soft pants. Just driving around with her grandson.
God.
Just a regular old day.
No hard pants, no new friends,
No.
Stella. I don't like this for you.
Yeah. But as the temperature goes down, so like at home coffee, you'd probably have to have that hot of coffee there for like, I don't know, a minute or something like that. So it just gives you more time to
process.
Get out of the shock of the whole situation and kind of deal with it. But she was like buckled into a car seat and a 79-year-old woman and wearing sweatpants. So very, very tough.
I'm upset.
So she was clearly unable to easily get out of the situation that she was in. Doctors later would say that she should have, again, taken her wet pants off immediately, but she was in a lot of pain and did not think to do so.
Yeah, I don't think you're always thinking the clearest ever when you're actively burning.
Yeah, and it's like, just think of like getting splashed with a little bit of boiling water. You're like,
how much that hurts.
It's a lot. But then to be like a full cup of coffee that you cannot get away from.
Also, not to be weird and not to be a even bigger bummer, but if you're 79 years old, unless she was like a very large woman, her legs, we've seen an old person leg. Yeah. There's not a lot of fat and muscle at the top. That's a lot skin and bone.
Yeah, and she's a skinny lady. She's a little lady.
Stella.
Do you think that's what was it Cat on a Hot Tin Roof? What's the
Rocky?
Oh yeah, it was Rocky.
Of course, it was Tennessee Williams playing in your mind,
yeah,
and not a very popular movie series from the 80s, 90s, and today.
No, I know. I think I'm right because it was Adrian from Rocky. It's Adrian.
Oh, you're right.
But I think Stella. It's either Cat on a Hot Tin Roof or the Marlon Brando.
Now I'm embarrassed.
No, it's okay.
Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. Well, no, I was making fun of you. I thought it was barely funny. I was being smug.
Fun.
You're usually wrong about this kind of thing.
I am usually wrong about this kind of thing.
I apologize. You guys heard it here first. I hear you.
And then the other one is angry.
Stella! Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
Yeah. It's okay. You'll get him next time.
How dare you? Not on our child's softball team. Don't do that.
It's okay, champ.
Don't touch me.
I love you
I'll
so
fight
much.
you.
Okay, so Stella immediately began screaming in pain because hot and not pleasant. So at first, Christopher thought that it was just a normal everyday burn. She was screaming in pain. She eventually kind of quieted down, but was just kind of moaning a bit. So once things settled down, they continued their drive. They were like, okay, we'll get you somewhere to get dry pants on and get this all sorted. Because again, if you think about spilling even a cup of coffee from your home on yourself, it burns. You would expect to get red, like a burn.
Yeah.
But you would not expect the level. It's more than bubbling, baby. The pictures are. I would not advise checking them out. They're unpleasant.
I won't.
Yeah.
But I'm upset.
Yeah. There's skin grafts from the other side of her leg. So.
Bibbidi bop.
Pretty bad.
Bibbidi
Pretty
bop
bad.
bop.
So, Very quickly, Stella became nauseous and very pale. Christopher worried that she might be in shock, which she definitely was in shock.
Yeah.
And helped her out of the car, helped her remove her wet sweatpants, and then wrapped her in a sheet from that he had in the trunk. And then immediately went to the nearest hospital, where they determined that she had sustained severe third-degree burns over 16% of her body and would require multiple skin grafts.
Stella.
According to Stella, because of her age, doctors were worried that she wouldn't survive the injury. So they were worried that the shock and the pain
That was
and
just
the
going to take.
infection and all of that kind of stuff that she wouldn't make it. She did
Which
end up making it.
Would have been a very different case.
Yes.
Story.
Yes.
Would have been. I wonder just out of like what that would have.
Yeah, I don't really know. Only from like watching the Lincoln Lawyer and other things that like, to some extent, more grievous. Like injury leading to a bigger lawsuit possibly, but oftentimes if you don't have the person there who was injured, it's harder to get any of those things into court and then through the process.
But I'm saying if she died.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm saying that if she died, the lawsuit may never have happened because
you don't think that her kids would have sued?
Would have tried probably.
Yeah,
but I don't know if it would have made it all the way to court.
Huh.
I don't really know. And again, that's just Lincoln Lawyer knowledge. But I feel like because they're, I don't know, not having the like
present victim.
Yeah, because we saw it with the Radium Girls cases. Is that like as the victims kind of died, they were used as evidence and they talked about them, but like they needing a plaintiff that is
I would be. I mean, it doesn't. None of this matters
really
because it's not real and hopefully nothing like this happens. But part of me thinks that she would have been a more sympathetic victim if she was dead. Not if she was dead, but being dead would make her a sympathetic victim. And if her family had the right lawyer, just because literally just like she just got a cup of coffee and now she's dead.
Yeah,
like that's.
True.
Like the sensationalism could have gone the other way.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I just think, the tough thing about all of this is that the like machine to change public opinion was already well in motion by the time we got to Stella's case.
No, it's all bad.
And so, hard to say. The documentary did show a few pictures of the burns, and they were pretty bad. I wouldn't advise looking at them. She would end up spending over a week in the hospital receiving intensive care, but you're going to hate this.
Okay.
Due to the mounting medical costs, she ended up leaving the hospital earlier than recommended, and then she had to like drive back frequently for follow-up appointments.
Even in the 90s, she couldn't afford it.
That's right. That's right.
What did she do for a job before she retired?
I don't actually know.
79?
I'd like to know. What?
Whatever it was too hard.
So... She was she retired in 1992.
I'm so mad about this.
She retired in 1992. I bet she was a very sweet little sales lady.
Yeah.
But
you also like, unless her grandson was told to do this, you have to be a sweet lady if your grandson is taking you to McDonald's. Like, is like, Grandma, can we go have lunch? Like, you're a nice lady.
Yeah. I think they like. I'm not sure 100% why they were taking their uncle to the airport or something. Like they were taking his uncle, the grandson's uncle, to the airport. So I guess Stella's, I don't know. But very sweet little lady if your grandson wants to hang out with you. And he clearly loved his grandma and was real shook by the situation. It was like, he didn't really do anything other than like hand her the cup of coffee, but like in the documentary, they like pulled into the Albuquerque McDonald's. They bought a cup of coffee, and he like handed it to the reporter. She's like, just like that. I pulled into this spot right here, and then handed it to her. And then they talked about like the incident, kind of everything that happened. It just was tough.
How old was he at that time? Like a teenager in his 20s?
He was probably in his 20s, I think. Because he was probably in his 40s when the documentary was happening, and that happened in 2011. So her full recovery would take up to like take over 2 years. She had a long-term disability, permanent scarring, some disfigurement, had a hard time walking for the rest of her life, and would require ongoing medical treatment to like keep up with infection and stuff like that for the rest of her life.
Days,
So
yeah.
So a lot more than just like a.
So no full recovery.
Not really, and I think she lived another like. Hold on, I think she lived another 10 years. Oh.
I mean, my opinion of full recovery is if your life is unaffected by.
Yeah,
the
so
incident
definitely not full recovery by any
afterwards.
means, and wait, Stella. Oh, I
Just
typed
type
this.
Stella. Your AI doesn't know that you only know about one.
I know, and the other one. Okay, so she died at 91, so she was 79, so she lived another
12 years.
12 years. So, but was basically kind of haunted by this case for the
Yeah,
rest
it
of
doesn't sound
after
like she could watch television.
the
for a
lawsuit took
decade.
years, and then after that she was kind of mocked
And she was just trying probably to keep her family from medical debt.
yeah.
I hate this.
Yeah, no, it's pretty bad. And McDonald's, even at the time, had so much money.
Yeah, McDonald's, you're terrible.
You're the worst.
The fact that we've done 2 different series about you, McDonald's,
Yeah.
maybe lock it up.
Maybe think about that. The Monopoly game is back. I wonder if it's still found a new way
being
to
run by the mob.
Yeah, being run by the mob.
Those are fun apps if you haven't listened.
Yeah, go check them out. Okay, so as the extent of the injury, they figured out how long it was going to take to recover. They started talking about asking McDonald's to help pay for the medical expenses. Initially, no intention whatsoever of
Sitting
suing.
down at a typewriter.
We're just like getting out there, clickety-clack,
Yeah.
say, excuse me, Mr. McDonald.
I wrote a strongly worded letter
I
to
would,
Mr. McDonald at headquarters.
So the first letter happened 2 weeks after the incident, and it was written to McDonald's management. And the Liebecks at first were just like, "Hey, we just want to let you know this
happened.
This happened. The injury is pretty bad. We're worried that the machine that is brewing your coffee
should
at
turn
this
it off."
place
Yeah.
is malfunctioning.
Yeah.
You should look at that. And then if it is not a malfunctioning machine, if this is your company policy, you should maybe think about that because we really, this is a pretty grievous injury, and we think you should care about that. And then after that, they asked to just cover growing medical bills, which at the time of within the first month, it was up to $10,000. So they were probably asking for roughly around $20,000. And again, after 6 months of writing back and forth, McDonald's responded by offering no more than $800.
And this is a part-time job for a retired lady.
Yeah.
Writing these letters.
Yeah. So Stella and her family eventually hired Ken R. Wagner and Associates to represent them. There they met a man named S. Reed Morgan, a lawyer from Houston who had sued McDonald's in the late 1980s for a similar case involving scalding coffee and a burn.
So it's a pattern.
It's a pattern. So he quickly agreed to join the case, partially because during the first lawsuit, he noticed such a callous indifference to
he was like, lock it up.
his client. So
Big Macs.
so they at first were just seeking settlements. They sought a settlement of $300,000, $200,000, both rejected by McDonald's. So the case would continue to trial and be set for August of 1994. So
it's already 2 years.
2 years. It's taken 2 years to get to there.
And you're just at family get-togethers, and people are like, "Hey, Stella, how's your legs?
Pretty
How's your
bad.
lawsuit?"
Yeah,
I don't.
bad.
And then you have that one drunk uncle that's like, "Yeah, so proud of it." And you're like, "I don't think so, George. I don't know, but
I wish I could be so lucky.
yeah, I just spilled out and changed my life." I don't know what this
Do you think
mush mouth is.
I think it was probably too serious. There was nobody at family events spilling drinks on themselves just to be like,
Oh
"Look,
God, I hope
same."
not.
Yeah.
Like the Christmas skit or something. Who am I, Grandma? Now I feel mean. I was making fun of the people being mean.
Yeah. Yeah. Peeing your pants is the coolest, Grandma. Miles
You're
Davis.
Miles Davis.
I don't think. Actually, when was that movie? Was it?
The 90s.
Yeah.
But they don't spill coffee.
No, they
He
pee
literally
their pants.
pees his pants.
He pees his pants, yeah. Okay. Court case. We're getting into the court. We're going right into court here.
Wow.
I know.
This is the fastest you've ever moved.
I know. Pew, 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 pew. So unlike a lot of other cases of its kind, there were very few like big disagreements in the facts of the case. So McDonald's did not contest the fact that their coffee was very hot and that hot coffee could burn people. They were like, yep, it's hot.
You like that? It's nice and hot.
It's nice and hot. And Stella freely admitted that she did, in fact, spill the coffee on herself. So a lot of news articles and like, TV shows and stuff like that were saying that like Stella is blaming McDonald's for the actual like spilling of the coffee, which she was not. It wasn't a negligence case. It wasn't like they did something to the cup was
She's
faulty.
just like, why is this so hot?
She was like, this is a dangerous product that
Yeah.
you're selling to people.
Stop it.
So Stella's lawyers sought to make a case based on the idea that the coffee served at such a hot temperature would be considered a defective product liability under the Uniform Commercial Code. During discovery, Stella's lawyers found out that McDonald's had already had over 700 previous complaints about burns from hot beverages. And this was all from like internal McDonald's documentation. So like all of the complaints that got sent to McDonald's, they had a big spreadsheet and they had like whether or not they did anything about it and how much money they gave the people, if they gave them any money at all. So I also mentioned that the doc showed this deposition with this like quality assurance manager. And when asked about it, he was like, I cannot say that I'm surprised or not surprised. I'm just glad the numbers aren't higher. I'm really pleased that they are not more than that. Which is a really bold thing to say.
It's like, yeah, I feel like I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's not bad. Not bad.
70% of people who drink coffee don't get burned.
Exactly. And I think that's the big thing. McDonald's whole argument with this is that like we sell 1 billion coffees a year.
Right.
700 over 10 years, not that bad. But it kind of fails to really take into account the people that are affected and the people.
Why does it have to be so hot though?
Yeah.
Just turn it down.
And there's a couple of reasons. One, the like industry standard at the time, like McDonald's, and this is one of the like things that McDonald's would say is that like every other fast food place that you go to, they're keeping their coffee this hot. You go to IHOP, it's this hot.
There's just
Burger
not
King,
as
it's this
many
hot.
of
Wendy's,
them.
it's this hot. It's all this hot. So like, why are you picking on us about this? And it's like, well, because that woman got third-degree burns drinking your
McDonald's,
coffee.
not at IHOP.
Not at
And
IHOP.
also, if you guys have to pay a price and have to change your thing, the smaller fish may or may not also.
Yeah, it might also change. You're kind of the like
setting the bar. Or
you're
whatever.
the bar. Yeah. And they said that like they're like, oh, people for the flavor reasons, people like it that hot. And also they're like, one of the main reasons people like McDonald's coffee is because you can, take it home with you and it'll still be hot when you get home or to the office. And it's like this feels very much like a company seeking out the answer to a question that makes it easier for them.
The reason people like McDonald's coffee is because it's cheaper than most other coffee.
Yeah.
And they don't want to make their own coffee.
Yeah, the claim, especially in the 90s, that it's because their coffee tastes the best
is ridiculous.
Also,
especially
I think,
in the 90s. Did we have better coffee then?
No, because there was a change in McDonald's where they started brewing better coffee.
McCafe.
The McCafe, when it turned into McCafe, but before that it was just dirty brown water.
Yeah.
With some, you put a lot of
the mop
cream sugar
water
in it.
and they heated it up to 200 degrees.
200 degrees, exactly.
And they poured it on old ladies.
This is not, I couldn't find any documentation that this is the reason, but this is something that kind of popped into my head and maybe was like a conspiracy thing that I read. But like, I feel like part of the reason they kept it so hot is because people sitting at the restaurant wouldn't be able to drink the coffee before they finished their food. And so they wouldn't come up for more refills. And brewed at that hot meant that like it could stay like in their tank longer. So it meant that they would have to brew less fresh coffee. So like,
no good reason.
I don't think, they're saying it's because people like hot coffee and they're saying it's because it tastes better if it's hot. And I just don't think that's true. I think it has to do with the fact that like keeping it that hot saved the company
also,
money.
it can't taste better if it's that hot because you're not drinking
can't drink
at
it.
that temperature.
Yeah, no.
So how would you know?
If
it
it can
tastes
give you-
amazing if you're willing to scald your throat.
If it can give you third-degree burns within 15
Turns
seconds,
out it's too hot.
you're not putting it in your mouth.
No.
And if you are, that's a bad idea.
You crazy, girl.
You crazy. So that deposition, he really talked in a real matter of fact, kind of very indifferent way, and kind of like literally laughed during it to be like
The quality guy.
Yeah, the quality guy. And a lot like after the fact, the jurors, some jurors appeared on the documentary and have kind of talked to media after the fact, and they were like, a lot of them pointed to this guy's indifference and like just the vibe that they were like not gonna do anything about it or change at all, which is part of the motivation behind doing punitive damages at all, is to be like, hey, we've asked you nicely. You didn't do it, so now we have to like make it hurt.
Ask you mean, yeah.
And also like make it hurt, but it's only 2 days of coffee revenue, so like,
yeah,
I don't know. Stella's lawyers also sought to show that like a reasonable person would not expect coffee to be so much hotter than coffee that they have at home. Like just average person would be like, okay, it's hot. I can tell it's hot,
right?
But I don't know it's 190 degrees,
and
I don't know
why would I know
that can cause burns, like severe burns.
To
this
me,
level of burns,
something I'm paying $1 for that I'm candid. If through a window into a vehicle,
at most
isn't gonna give
red
me
patch
third
on the
degree.
skin.
Yeah,
right, exactly.
And for that like 2 hours, you're like, oh, I'm an idiot. I spilled my coffee.
And they did focus a lot on how like coffee pots at home brew at like 150 to 157, meaning that like the coffee that people interact with most in their lives every day is much lower, and you can still get and the experts from McDonald's point out that you can get third-degree burns from coffee at that temperature. It just takes a lot longer. You know, it takes a lot longer.
But you'd have to like pour it on your pants
and then sit there and scream,
like, man,
and just kind of let it cook.
Terrible.
And so it's like it's not really the same. And people weren't. You know, the cup lids did say hot, but it was very small.
And wasn't it like white on white?
It was white on white, so it was just pressed into the plastic.
And for 79-year-old ladies,
and it was the same exact size as the like decorative pressed detail around the outside. So it was like you're like, look, we warned them, and like, nope, and that's why they did change the
blind people who use Braille and other,
and it's not even written in Braille.
Yeah, so they're just smart blind people.
Yeah, so they did change it after this case to be much bolder and
I remember on the
hot.
bottom, big hot. Is that what you said?
Big hot.
Big hot.
Big hot. So lastly, Stella's lawyers alleged that McDonald's displayed reckless indifference to customer safety, doing nothing to either reduce the heat of the coffee or warn customers of the dangers. So we talked about the lids. Reed concluded in his arguments, noting that most of these injuries and cases for a corporation so big wouldn't make it back up to corporate management. Something small wouldn't make it to corporate management. It all gets kind of covered under their insurance department and gets chalked up as like cost of doing business. So any settlements, anything that happens. So if they wanted the head office to pay attention, they really needed to like think about punitive damages. And this is where he noted, he was like, I don't know, just something food for thought.
Yeah.
2 days coffee, $2.7 million. I don't know where I got that number, but
weird,
it's
weird
just like,
where I get that. Yeah.
Put that in your head. So some of the jurors were actually fighting for like a week's worth of McDonald's coffee revenue, which would have been like 9.5 billion. Or million. So they cut that one down too. You know.
Yeah. This lady should have owned a boat.
It's just, and that's the thing. I think that like it's hard for, you know, like when talking about the tax code and when talking about these big settlements and stuff like that, it's a level of scale that the average person is like, millions of dollars, but McDonald's just like sneezes and that's $1 million. And
also, that person is going to have to pay their lawyer. They're going to have to compensate for any. I mean, she was retired but lost wages, whatever it is. Like they have to do a lot with that money.
Yep. And especially if it leads to permanent injury and changes in the way, like changing the way you have to like live the rest of your life.
Also, like the amount of lotions and potions this woman needs now
a lot,
for her legs.
millions of dollars of lotions. And potions.
So many.
And she didn't even get it.
Buckets of potion.
Yeah. But that, you know, that's the thing that it's like, it's so easy to make a soundbite of it because it's like $2.7 million seems crazy. But again, it's just like, and you know, the taxes, everybody's like, oh, these really wealthy people are paying millions and billions of dollars in taxes. I'm like, that's because they make so much money.
That much. And a lot of them don't pay any taxes.
And they don't actually pay any.
Yeah.
So gonna have to do an episode on the tax code at some point, and it's gonna drive me nuts.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that, but I'll listen to it.
Yeah,
that's too much for my brain gets bready. It
yeah,
can't process.
Because income tax is designed by nature to have people that have more money pay more into the system.
Yes, but we've ruined that.
Yeah,
that's over now.
Yeah, we got rid of that.
It's gone now.
Which is why there were, I don't know if you remember back in the like 80s and late 80s and 90s, they were really pushing for this idea of a flat tax.
Yeah,
which is just like everyone pays the same tax and there's no loopholes, which like is naive. There would be loopholes, and then nobody would pay the same amount. But that flattening the tax is actually worse for the lower half of the economy.
Yeah,
because it's meant to be
a scale,
and it's also like the people that are super super rich are like. They're like 70% taxes, but it's usually only like 70% taxes on like after they've made $2 billion.
Also, like
crazy.
The wealth in our country right now is a hockey stick. Like there are people up here and there are people way down here.
Yeah. So
the taxes should be the same shape.
That's right. There you go. Okay, so the defense. We'll talk about the defense, even though I hate them. The McDonald's defense focused on the idea that coffee spills happen all the time, and
you're not special, Stella.
Others to take responsibility, no matter how grievous. It's a commonplace event, and that should result in commonplace response. Is what they.
How do you
said.
account for the medical bills, though?
And you're like,
just pay the medical bills.
Just pay the medical bills, guys. Just pay the medical bills.
Always just pay the medical bills.
Because all of this would go away if you just pay the medical bills.
And people would be like, wow, McDonald's is so great.
Yeah.
They paid this old lady's medical bills, even though she's a dumb lady. Let's go buy burgers. Like, it would have worked out.
Yeah. Instead, it went the other way. But then they spun it into a PR boon anyways because they're evil.
Yep.
They focused a lot heavily on individual responsibility. Just like you were saying, we're ingrained in us is this idea that like we're
not going to sue.
We're reliant. We don't sue. We
need
take our own responsibility for this scalding hot coffee.
Yeah. To be fair, if somebody spilled hot coffee on me, I would take them for all they're worth.
Get them. So second, they had their own expert testimony showing that Miss Liebeck could have received the same level of burns, much cooler coffee. And that they really tried to pin it on the fact that we were like, well, if she had just taken those pants off a little sooner, so it's kind of her fault. And it was like, she's a 79-year-old woman, and she was in shock, and her grandson assumed that it was just a little burn.
There was a lot of reasons, and it wasn't that she just didn't want to.
Yeah, I think all of it. So this is what we'll get into with like. The reason why doing caps on benefits is a problem, and it's like mandatory minimums for drug cases and stuff like that. It takes the power out of the like individuals, like the judges and the juries and the people that are on that know the most, that are experts in the case.
Why did we list all that stuff if there's a minimum?
And it just like flattens it all out and makes them not important to the whole story. And it's why like you hear these little anecdotes, these like common sense anecdotes, and it's like, if somebody decided that McDonald's deserved to pay $2.7 million, there's probably a reason behind it. It's not just It's not just a jury of like
because the jury is supposed to be of your peers, of a cross section of people.
Yeah,
12 people in America who all have these ingrained ideas aren't going to be like, let's give this old lady this money.
And like half of the jurors, in interviews later, said that they went into it thinking this was a frivolous lawsuit. They were like, I assumed that this was going to be nonsense. Yeah. I was annoyed that I had to do this because it was like, clearly this is not there's no case here.
And then they saw
they saw the pictures and they listened to McDonald's just be like, nothing to do about that.
Yeah.
And then they were like, nope, screw these guys. This lady deserves money, and McDonald's needs to change their practices. So it's just the system that we have in place is set up to that's what the jury is for. They're meant to become experts in the thing, and we should trust the system that we have in place. But instead, people have spent a lot of money telling us not to trust those people and not to trust judges, and then also buying off judges, and juries, at least theoretically, you can't buy off, but not in the same way. You have to be trickier about it, I guess.
You have to commit crimes.
You got to commit crimes to do that, instead of the crimes that you can't see because of Citizens United.
Against humanity.
So Yeah, I don't know. I just, there's a reason the jury is a thing. There's
Yeah.
a reason our legal system, though not perfect, a lot better than, what we're turning it into.
Well, that's the other thing is like everybody who's like the founding fathers wouldn't want to do X, Y, and Z. It's like we're not in that territory anymore.
Yeah.
We read the back of their book and we did something else. We
Yeah,
said, I
yeah,
got
yeah,
it,
yeah,
I got
yeah,
it,
yeah,
I got
yeah.
it, I got it. I'll make it the same. I'll make
Yeah.
it the same. And now it's not. It's
Yeah.
bastardized in every way it can be.
Yep.
And also those 28-year-old, some of those dudes who signed the Declaration of Independence, literally 25 years old. They're all white. They're
Yep.
all like from a certain breed of
Half of
person
them are
that
slave
came.
owners.
Half of them are slave owners. They had no idea what the world was going to look like in 275 years. Why
Yeah.
Why do we listen to
it's
them?
meant to be a living document. That's why they
Literally.
wrote it with a list of amendments.
Caveat in order to do
immediately.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah.
That's just our little rage, divergence. I don't know. I'm tired.
Yeah, it was sleepy.
Tired.
Babies and beverages.
So many beverages, so many babies. So the third thing they asked again was why pick on us? So this is the thing where they're like, these other corporations have
Everybody's
hot coffee.
scalding the elderly.
Everyone is scalding
Leave us alone.
Come on. And I talked about that. They also talked about how scientifically advanced the cups were. They were like, we used highly insulated styrofoam cups and a lid with a tab that should make it easier to take the lid off without spilling it all over yourself.
All I remember about
And they were
that
like,
tab is it made it more easy to spill because you'd pull it and the whole cup would
and the
jostle.
whole thing would go everywhere. Yeah, but they were like, we care the most about our customers, which is why we've made this incredibly
Why we won't help one
advanced coffee
old
cup.
woman.
Yeah. So I wrote, people just like drinking hot lava.
Yeah, that's all caps
That's
there.
super true. They finished their argument by trying to paint Stella as this classic, highly litigious person, even though she'd never sued anyone in her entire 79-year-old life.
Yeah.
Did not want to sue McDonald's in the first place.
Why? Because she retired. She said, what should I do with my free time?
I should sue.
I'm
I
gonna
should
sue.
It's just a flesh wound. I just love lawsuits.
I'm just bored, honestly.
Love it. So,
There's no more Murder, She Wrote. I didn't know what to do.
so yeah, they just finished their whole argument being, starting to paint her in this trope of being
Yeah.
like this being a frivolous lawsuit, even though we spent a lot of time being like, nope, it's not. So the trial lasted for about 7 days. So 7 days
Long.
of talking about, the temperature of coffee, which again, there were no like big disagreements in facts. It was just like, so like those 7 days had to be real boring.
Yeah.
'Cause
Also, like the jury, they must have been like, wow, you have to go back to jury duty? Yeah, another day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you talk about it? Oh, I
No,
can talk
no,
about
no,
it.
no, I can't
Well, no,
talk
I
about
think
it,
they can talk about like there's no
Yeah,
privacy.
yeah.
There's no, because this is, yeah.
Yeah. And then they're like, hot coffee. And they're like,
Who cares?
I don't. You
Come
know
back
what?
to work.
Enough
Stop
said.
lying.
Enough saying, yeah, get out of here. You're just at skee ball or something. I don't know what people did back then.
Back then,
That was alive back then.
you were alive.
Yeah. So the jury deliberation only lasted 4 hours. And they were
Well,
like,
good for
it's not the shortest deliberation, but also like, and I feel like a lot of it was
was like
basically
amount.
like, how much money should we
Yeah.
give this lady? So this is where they talked about how much, compensatory damages and how much punitive damages. So again, Stella Liebeck was awarded $160,000 in compensatory damages and $2.7 million in punitive damages. They talked about the issue of fault, again awarding Stella 20% fault, and not awarding, that's the wrong word, but assigning 20% fault to Stella and then 80% to McDonald's, because like it was her fault, but the injuries wouldn't have been nearly as severe if the coffee wasn't as hot. So and the damages wouldn't have been nearly as high. Like you wouldn't have needed, you would have maybe just needed some burn cream. And now we're talking skin grafts, which is a whole new scale of bad. So those internal records that I talked about before were a huge factor for the and that that interview with that guy that was clearly not
Helpful at all.
PR trained in any way. But it was just like they clearly they were their own documents, and they had a clear history of like not really changing anything to protect their consumers. The jury just hoped that this large punitive damage would act as a a force to help McDonald's kind of change and fix their consumer safety problems. So the judge in that case, like like all of these news articles that came out immediately afterwards, it was like that day or 2 days later that the trial judge reduced the punitive damages down to $480,000.
So that it never should have been million. Like, yeah, never should have even said those numbers.
It was just news articles sensationalizing to sell more newspapers and say the point that they wanted to say about frivolous lawsuits. But she just wasn't ever going to get the full amount, which is.
But they do that even with lawsuits that people are invested in. Like the Sackler family, it's the headlines say $5 billion. I don't think they've paid anything yet.
Right. Yeah. And that's how the corporations like it. You know, they just like to play the victim, to be like, oh, we had to pay $2.7 million to this lady that we almost burned to death.
Yeah.
How dare they? So, Stella's lawyer appealed the reduction but was denied. Instead of appealing again to a higher court, Liebeck and McDonald's eventually settled out of court for a confidential amount. I think she got a little bit more, but not millions by any means.
Maybe half mil, up from 460.
Yeah, up to from 480 maybe up to 500 maybe.
Just to make it a nice little.
Yeah, to make the big check.
Free coffee for life.
Free coffee for life. So once the case was finally wrapped up, the media began having a field day with it just immediately. It made the perfect case to push for more tort reform. And the only thing that made it imperfect was the fact that the suit wasn't actually frivolous. But journalists didn't really seem to care.
Didn't matter. It had all the fun little buzzwords.
So incredibly fast, the case began being distorted for the political game. A lot of articles written just about how this tricky old lady had stolen millions from McDonald's.
Yeah.
And
she's a monster.
She's a monster. And all of this is where, these little changes in the story that happened over time. It was like a game of telephone that we were watching in real time where Stella was in the passenger seat. Stella was driving. I
definitely always thought she was driving.
Recklessly and not paying attention to the road, and then spilled it on. And then she spilled it on herself specifically to sue. In my head, my idea was she was sitting in a McDonald's. So I didn't even ingest the idea that she was in a car.
Got from whatever part of my brain was watching when I was 6. And I mean, I guess the trial was over when I was 8 or 9. So I do remember the vibe of this. I remember when this happened. But in my head, she was driving. She was by herself. She put the cup between her legs to turn. Yeah. Like, you get your stuff and then you're like, okay, I got to get out here. And then just maybe squeeze. Because if it's styrofoam, and then it
popped the lid off. And then, nope. She was sitting in a parked car.
That's what I assume. My mom used to drink a lot of drive-through coffee. I've seen a lot of different ways you could spill yourself, but she never scalded herself.
Yeah. I got some hot coffee spilled on me as a kid, but no burns. So that was good.
Well, there you go. Stop whining.
Exactly. The jury was all painted to be these soft-hearted suckers. There's I don't remember what they called them. I'll remember it by the next episode, but it's just something like Santa Claus jurors or something like that. That just want to give a gift to this elderly old one.
What everyone does.
Yeah, and
give money to other people.
That's right.
That's what our country's built on.
That's what it's all about. Not a whole jury built of the same people that are super self-internalized
hate joy and help and
independence and thinking that corporations are rich benefactors that we should love.
Boo.
Boo. So constant use of her story and likeness on late night, again, especially Jay Leno. The Seinfeld episode based fully around this hot coffee thing, and then Kramer going on to get do multiple
Why
lawsuits.
did he put it in his pants?
They were going to the movie theater. They were told they were not allowed to have outside, food or beverage, and he was like, "We'll see if we can get around that." And then it was just in his pants, and he tripped while he was getting to his seat.
I remember that he wanted coffee at the movie theater because you don't have they don't serve coffee at the movie theater.
There's also a Toby Keith song, which Stella's daughter is really understandably steamed about, but she like
Steamed, was that a
pun? Not intentional, but the fire in her eyes when talking about. She was like, I like Toby Keith, but he wrote that song American Ride, and I just never listened to his music ever again.
It was about her?
There's a line in it that says, plasma's getting bigger, Jesus getting smaller, spill a cup of coffee, make $1 million.
Nope.
And it's just like in
Toby Keith? I didn't like you before.
Like a
I certainly don't now.
Like 4 song or something like that.
Waited 10 years to get that
Yeah, actually,
cut in on an old lady. I can see why her daughter would be salty.
Yeah, because she's just like, when will it end? Because it is such in our like
2008.
Yep.
Dude,
2008.
get over it.
2008.
She's dead.
But it like just the it's one of these cases that most of America kind of knows a little something about.
Right.
Which is insane because it's a little case that didn't really have that big of an effect on what happened at McDonald's. Like literally after this case happened, they like lowered the temperature of their coffee by 10 degrees, which is not nothing.
Not much though.
But not much.
Still 20 degrees above home coffee.
And then made the like the caution contents hot description on the coffee cups bigger. And those are the two things that happened. And this lady got like $500,000 and then spent half of that on her medical bills and lawyer bills. So, it's crazy that this is the thing that all of us know about so much.
It is weird that it's so permeant.
Yeah. So the other thing that I was going to end with is that thing I was talking about before, which I'm just so mad about this. And so the True Stella Awards, there's this guy that has like an online website / column that
Are you saying true or truth?
True Stella Awards. So the True Stella Awards, because there were copycats, and the guy that like made this was like clearly, copying is the truest form of flattery. And like, I wouldn't be surprised if this guy made copycats of himself so that he could say that.
Yeah.
He was just a little like, he called himself like a humorist and like columnist.
I don't trust anyone who calls himself a humorist.
It was like a I guess
stick to drawing 1-a-day calendars, my guy.
Exactly. And this became like a bathroom reader.
Yeah.
Like he eventually like it was an online news thing, like a circular. That's not a thing.
Circular is where you get ads you don't want from the grocery store.
Oh, is that right? So it was not
That's
that.
what it's called.
It was not that. That's good to know. No, it was just you could pay for him to send you like weekly list of all of the craziest lawsuits that happened, and most of them were not real.
He had to kind of write them in a way to make it seem
or he did the thing that Reagan did where he like simplified it to being humorous even though it was not
helpful.
or like and the fact that it like the boldness of using like a woman's like name
as the name
of your award is crazy, and then to publish a book about it is the worst. The documentary did not mention this thing, but they did show the award. I'm pretty sure probably because they were either suing this person because screw that guy, or they like didn't want to give him any more free publicity. So I just like, I'm so mad about it because it's like the Darwin Awards. It's one of those kind of things. It's just about, it's just more of these people jumping on the bandwagon and being like, people suing big companies just to make money. Yeah. And it's like, no,
it's just a lot
of like nobody's really going out to do that. And if they are, most of those people don't actually get to court.
Well, the lawyers don't take the case because it's not worth their time.
Exactly.
Like it doesn't get that far.
And like, I do think that there's probably a fair amount of people that do these kind of like not based in fact lawsuits because they know that a lot of corporations will just settle out of court in order to not even worry about it. It's cheaper for them to just settle. So like there probably is a fair amount of that, but changing like the law to make to make it harder for average people, like the percentage of these like big settlement cases is so low compared to like all of the things that are happening. Most of them are just like, somebody got in a fender bender or like, Judge Judy kind of stuff. That's just like little stuff that, you need to go to court for, but it's not, Or the asbestos thing is really, really frustrates me because of the statistics where they're just like, they picked a year that like it was the lowest amount of cases that they had in 10 years.
Yeah.
And then picked the year that the peak of asbestos litigation. And then they're all like, isn't this crazy? It's like 10 times as much lawsuits.
You need more years in the bar graph.
Yeah.
And you need an asterisk that says asbestos year.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Remember that, guys? So next episode we'll talk about other some other of these types of lawsuits that they used. They like turned into that's what I was going to say. The book that is only sort of funny, but mostly written like a legal brief. There's so many citations, which again, good for factuality, like litigiousness. They really got some facts, but made it very very stilted to read.
Yeah, that's time consuming.
I had to read it on my Kindle, which was crazy. Not a thing I generally do.
I didn't know that you did that with your eyes.
I do sometimes.
Gross.
Yeah, no. But they called all of these like tort cases that people like turned into memes. They called them pop torts, which I think is funny.
That's fun.
Yeah,
I'll give them that.
Yeah,
that's fun.
But we'll talk a lot more about that. We'll talk about the other. So like they basically tried to put caps on damages. They tried to like change the way that tort law works. And then after that, we'll talk about like contract law and things that a lot of jobs are doing in order to. The end of the documentary is like there's this thing called forced arbitration, which means that if something happens when you're at work, instead of being able to take your employer to like actual court of law, you have to go to this arbitration thing, which like when you go to arbitration, the company gets to pick the judge.
Of course they do.
And
that's like when you get assaulted at college and you have to go to student court and you're like, this isn't real. Yep. Let me go to the police.
Yeah, and there's somebody that like for Halliburton, it was a woman that went into the military but into private contractor military. She got sent to Afghanistan and then was sexually assaulted on the barracks and then was like going to take Halliburton to court and then couldn't because they also like imprisoned her in a container for like a week and before she got home. And what's his name? Who's the comedian turned senator that we is no longer
Al
a senator?
Franken.
Al Franken was a big push behind getting this woman like in front of Congress to kind of talk about all of this stuff. But like because of so there are a lot of other steps beyond like tort reform and changes like that happened that make it even harder for like anyone to hold these bigger corporations to account. I mean, all of these like common sense reforms that just make it harder for us. It makes it so much easier for us to lose all of our money to like get bled away to injury or to,
I mean, most of the country is one emergency away from bankruptcy. Like that's just what it is. And it's gotten worse than it was in the 90s. And man.
Oh, also I learned they push through a lot of like caps on damages for medical malpractice.
Okay.
And the whole reason that they wanted to do that is because they're like, it costs too much to be a doctor. Insurance premiums are way too high.
Right.
So we got to put a cap on maximum for like damages like that. And then they did in a lot of states, like in Texas, because George Bush was governor of Texas. And when George Bush basically ran for governor on Texas, specifically on like backing corporations in civil court. And won a lot of things. And it's part of the reason why he became president is because this is the thing that people really wanted. And so they put caps on damages for medical malpractice. And then the insurance companies did not lower their premiums because they were like, never said we had to.
Why would we? Tell me why.
And so they just made a lot more money because they were having to settle out of court a lot less and a lot lower. And so it was still more expensive, still very expensive to be a doctor. And
people got less.
Now people got less
for medical malpractice.
So,
I'm so mad.
Yeah.
You've brought up so many reasons to be mad in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, but compared to millions of
dead Irish people,
where do you think we're at?
I now realize how insane that was, and I will not be putting a number on it, but I am furious.
Yeah, pretty angry because this is one of those things that like, you know, the older things that happen, the kind of formational things that are like, I'm so mad that Enron happened and it affected like how companies, you know, are able to like grow big fast, you know, based on nothing or whatever. But this one feels like it can really affect like me and you. It like all of these little things,
anybody.
And it's happened so recently, and like all of the tort reform that is probably still going on, and like these lobbyists, there's so many things that we are taught to think are for our benefit. You know, like the mandatory minimum sentencing, there like is just a pipeline to get more people in prison, which the like, you know, the right to work states generally means that
you can't have a union, you can't
have a union, and like it lowers the average income for everyone by like 10 to 20%. So like all of that stuff was like, oh, don't worry, we're gonna get you into those plants, and then like it caused the plants to like take more advantage of people. So like you know, it just like
anything
mass
that we've
harm.
done to allow companies lenience, they have used to take more money out of people's pockets.
And it's like it's so brazen and so incessant. They're like really motivated and really dedicated to changing public opinion to make us feel like we should be indebted to them, but we're the people making the stuff and buying the stuff and using the stuff.
We're the people making the stuff and buying the stuff and using it.
So that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. No, I'm not making fun of you. I had to lighten it up.
I just
but
but they have to have boats, you know.
They have to have multiple boats.
They gotta have boats.
So yeah, I'm excited to hear the rest of the stuff next week.
Yeah, talk about old Ronnie Reagan.
Do you still feel like it's a twofer?
I think so, yeah.
All right. Well, we'll get back into it next week, and thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, and a big thanks to Carsey Blanton for the theme music. You can follow the podcast everywhere at Yeet the Rich Pod. You can email us your suggestions for future episodes at yeettherichpod@gmail.com. You can follow me at TheFunnyWalsh, and you can follow Danny at DMoss315. See you next week.